What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the All Things Baseball channel. Now, it's been a while since I've made a video. It's been a very long time. It's been about a few weeks since I've made a video, but I will be uploading content more on this channel. I've just been busy with school, so I haven't really been able to to upload recently on this channel, but I'm back with another video, and this video is going to be the most underrated players going into the 2021 MLB season. As you already know, baseball season has pretty much already started. Spring training games are already underway. There's games being played. Baseball is pretty much back already, so I'm going to be doing a video where I do the 8 most underrated players going into the 2021 season. If you like these kind of videos, make sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. I really would appreciate it, because there's going to be a lot more baseball content coming out, when the season, when the regular season, starts. There's going to be a lot more content on the channel, but for now, it's going to be, videos at, every now and then, but, when baseball season really starts to come back, there's going to be videos on this channel frequently. So I really, do hope you guys do enjoy this video, because it took a lot of time to make these. These are always take a long time to edit, and upload to the channel. So I really would appreciate it if you would drop a like, subscribe to the channel for more baseball content, and yeah, let's get right into the video. Alright, so for the first player on this list, we are going to be talking about Boston Red Sox outfielder Alex Verdugo. Verdugo had a phenomenal 2020 after coming over in the Mookie Betts trade. Verdugo had a really good season, hitting .308 on the year with 6 home runs, 62 hits, and 201 at-bats, had a 2.2 WAR, 36 runs scored, 15 RBIs, 4 stolen bases, a .367 OBP, a .478 slugging percentage, a .844 OPS, and a .126 OPS plus. Verdugo, in my opinion, is a borderline top 50 player in Major League Baseball, and I feel like not a lot of people are talking about him, mainly because the Red Sox traded away the second best player in baseball for him. But you look at the numbers he had last year, he had a phenomenal year. He was their probably outside, maybe outside of Xander Bogaerts. He was definitely their best hitter last year. He played on a very bad team, and it was a lone bright spot for the Red Sox last year. And it sucks I have to root against him, because obviously I'm a Yankees fan, and the Red Sox are the Yankees' most hated rival. So it sucks I have to root against him, because I'm a big fan of Alex Verdugo. He's one of the most underrated players in the league, in my opinion. Had a phenomenal year in 2020, and I will expect him to get better. He's only 20, I believe he's 24 years old. He's from Arizona. He's only played in the big leagues for a few years. I only expect Alex Verdugo to get better. He's good with the glove, phenomenal with the bat, has high upside. I think he's going to be one of the more underrated outfielders in the league, and he's my first player on the most underrated players list. So for the second player on this list is going to be the first pitcher, actually, I'm going to be talking about, and that is going to be Milwaukee Brewers ace Brandon Woodruff. Woodruff, in my opinion, is the most underrated starter in Major League Baseball. You look at the numbers he's had the past few years. He hasn't been anything crazy, but you look at the numbers, he's actually been really good. In 2020, he had a really good season with a 3.05 ERA, had a 3-5 win-loss record. That's mainly because the Brewers really don't score a lot of runs. Had a 2.1 WAR in 13 games. He had in 73 innings pitched. He had 91 strikeouts and a .991 WHIP. I think Brandon Woodruff's really good, and I think he's a borderline top 15 starter in the league. I think he's really underrated now. Again, I don't think he's a Cy Young caliber starter. I don't see him as a top 5 pitcher in the game. I don't see him as elite, but I really do think Brandon Woodruff's extremely underappreciated by baseball fans, and I feel like he deserves credit. I think he's very good. And you look at the seasons he's had previous to 2020. He's been very solid. In 2019, had a 3.62 ERA. In 2018, had a 3.61 ERA. Had a really good year in 2019, especially that was his best year. He made the All-Star team. I think Brandon Woodruff's really good. I think he's only going to get better. He's only 28 years old. He's still very young. I think Brandon Woodruff's so underrated. I think he's going to be my first pitcher on the most underrated players list. Alright, so for the third player we're going to be talking about in this video, that is going to be Toronto Blue Jays outfielder Lourdes Gurriel Jr., the brother of Houston Astros player Yuli Gurriel. Lourdes Gurriel has been overshadowed by a lot of baseball fans. When you think of the Blue Jays, you think of guys like George Springer and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette and Kevin Biggio. You don't really think about Lourdes Gurriel, but you look at the numbers Gurriel has had the past few years, he has been really good at the plate. In 2020, had a great year, hit .308 with 11 home runs, 64 hits, and 208 at-bats, and scored 28 runs, 33 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, a .348 OBP, a .534 slugging percentage, and an .882 OPS. He's one of the better left fielders in baseball. He's nothing special in the field. I don't really think he's really good in the outfield, but he absolutely rakes at the plate, so it doesn't really matter how good he is in the field. In 2020, had a phenomenal year. In 2019, he was almost just as good, hit .277 on the year with 87 hits and 314 at-bats, 52 runs scored. So he's played, for 3 seasons in Major League Baseball, and he has just been really good at the plate. The guy rakes. I think he's one one of the more underrated outfielders in the league. He's kind of like Alex Verdugo. He doesn't really get a lot of attention because he's kind of, the Blue Jays have a lot of good players in that lineup, and Gurriel's not really a guy you think of when you think of the Blue Jays, but I think he's so underrated. I think he's one of the best hitters on the Blue Jays, and he is going to be my third player on this list. All right, next up, we're going to head out west to Arizona to talk about Arizona Diamondbacks ace Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen has, again, been just so underrated the past few years. You look at the numbers he's had, he has been fantastic. In 2020, had a 2.75 earned run average, a 3-2 win-loss record, and despite playing for a bad team, he had a fantastic season, and obviously there was the delay due to COVID. He still had a really good year, a 2.75 earned run average in 2020, and then in his rookie year in 2019, had a 2.89 earned run average, again, a really low ERA. He hasn't pitched a whole lot in Major League Baseball, but you look at the numbers, they're just so impressive. He's one of the most underrated starters in the league. I think maybe outside guys like Kershaw and Bauer and, Walker Buehler, he's one of the best pitchers in his division. I think he's going to compete for the Cy Young this year. I think he's going to be so underrated, and I think he's going to be a sleeper pick to win the Cy Young out of the National League. I think he's so good. I think he's filthy. He's one of the most underrated pitchers in the National League, and he's going to be my fourth player and my second pitcher on this list. Up, we're going to talk about one of the peskiest players in Major League Baseball, and that is Washington Nationals shortstop Trey Turner. I don't know why, and I feel like nobody gives this guy credit because he is so good. You look at the year Trey Turner had in 2020, he was fantastic. He went off, hit .335, hit 12 home runs, and he doesn't really hit for power. In 233 at-bats, had a 2.4 WAR, 46 runs scored, 41 RBIs. The guy flies around the bases, had 12 stolen bases, which I believe led the league. Had a 394 OBP, a 588 slugging percentage, 982 OPS, which is really high, especially for a contact hitter, and had a 157 OPS plus. The past few seasons, Trey Turner has been a beast at the plate, and again, he's not really a fun player to watch. You got a guy like Juan Soto, who is his teammate, who is arguably even the best player in baseball. Juan Soto is an absolute beast, and I feel like nobody really gives Trey Turner credit because you look at the seasons he's had, throughout his career, he has been a beast. He's one of the best leadoff hitters in the game. He's a top 5 shortstop. The guy's a pest. He steals a lot of bases. He's an all-around really good ball player. I'm a huge fan of Trey Turner. I feel like he deserves a lot more credit from baseball fans, and I feel like he just doesn't get it because he deserves it. You look at the numbers he's had the past few years. He's been an absolute elite shortstop at the plate. I'm a big fan of Trey Turner, and he is my 5th player on this list. All right, so next up, we have the definition of a professional hitter, and that is Houston Astros outfielder Michael Brantley. Michael Brantley is 33 years old, so he's up there in age, but he's done it for so long. I mean, this guy is just such a professional hitter. He's going to hit it at the top of your lineup, and he's going to slap the ball over the field. He's going to put the ball in play. He plays good defense out in left field. He's just a really good hitter, and also he's a lefty, which is also a plus. You look at the year Brantley had in 2020, he carried the Astros lineup throughout the regular season. Hit 300 with 5 home runs, 51 hits, and 170 at-bats, had a 1.7 WAR, 24 runs scored, 22 RBIs, a 364 on-base percentage, a 476 slugging percentage, a 840 OPS, and a 126 OPS plus. He's done it for a long time. He's been around the league. He was good for the Indians, really good for the Astros. This guy's so good. He wasn't involved in the cheating scandal, so, I mean, his numbers, there's no asterisk around it. This guy's a beast. Every year he goes out and he rakes. He's one of the best left fielders in baseball. I think outside of Juan Soto, I think he's the second best left fielder in Major League Baseball right now. Again, just such a professional hitter. He's one of the, he's not really much of a fun player to watch, but the guy just goes out every game and he rakes. I'm a big fan of Michael Brantley. He's one of the only Astros I like, and Michael Brantley's going to come in as my 6th player on this list. I think he's so underrated. All right, next up, we have another pitcher on this list, and that is going to be Minnesota Twins starter Kenta Maeda. Kenta Maeda was involved in the Mookie Betts trade, and boy, did it work out for the Twins. Maeda had a phenomenal 2020, had a 1.5 WAR and a 6-1 win-loss record. They won a lot when he was on the mound, had a 2.70 earned run average in 11 games, 66 innings pitched, had 80 strikeouts, and a .750 whip. Maeda had a phenomenal year, by far the best season of his career, and even though it was, a small sample size, he had a fantastic year. It was nothing to be ashamed of. He had a fantastic year, and again, previously to 2020, he was never anything special. He was always a pretty good pitcher for the Dodgers, but he was nothing crazy, and he had a Cy Young caliber year in 2020. I'm a big fan of Kenta Maeda. I think he's very underrated. He plays in Minnesota. There's, I don't think a lot of people watch Twins games, but you look at the year Maeda had last year, he was fantastic. He was one of the best pitchers in the American League. I think he's very underappreciated by baseball fans. Kenta Maeda is going to come in as my 7th player on this list. All right, next up, we have another Houston Astro, and that is going to be 24-year-old outfielder for the Astros, Kyle Tucker. Tucker, in my opinion, is going to have a breakout year next year. I really think he's going to be a beast for the Astros next year. He had a really good year in 2020 in his second season of his career, had a 268 batting average with 9 home runs, 56 hits, and 209 at-bats, a 1.9 WAR, had 33 runs scored, 42 RBIs, a 325 OBP, 512 slugging percentage, 837 OPS, and a 123 OPS+. 2020 really was the first year Tucker actually had a breakout season. He had a really good year. I really do think Kyle Tucker is going to be one of the better, outfielders in baseball next season. I think he's going to be kind of like the Alex Verdugo, but obviously I think he'll be kind of like the 2020 Alex Verdugo. I really think he's going to have a breakout year next year. As much as I hate to say it, you guys know how much I hate the Astros. I really think Kyle Tucker is going to be really good for them next year. I think he's going to be really good. I think he's going to compete for the MVP. I think he's definitely going to be a sleeper for the MVP candidate next year. I think Kyle Tucker's so good, and I really think he's so underrated. He's going to come in as my 8th player on this list. All right, so next up we have the one and only reliever on this list, and that is going to be newly acquired Los Angeles Angels reliever, Raisel Iglesias. Iglesias is probably a reliever you have not heard of because he's pitched in Cincinnati throughout his career, and I feel like not a lot of people watch Reds games because they've been so mediocre throughout the past few years. But you look at the years, the seasons Iglesias has had. Iglesias has been filthy. In 2020, had a 2.74 earned run average, a 4-3 win-loss record, a .2 WAR in 22 games, in 23 innings pitched, had 31 strikeouts, and a .913 whip. Raisel Iglesias had a fantastic year for the Reds. I think he's so underrated. I think it's a really underrated pickup for the Angels. I think he's one of the more underrated relievers in baseball. I've been saying that word a lot, but I just think he deserves it. I mean, he's nothing any really thing, you look at the years in 2019, he wasn't that great that year, but 2018, he had a 2.38 ERA. He was fantastic. 2017, 2.49. 2016, 2.53. He's done it for multiple seasons. I think he's one of the most underrated relievers in Major League Baseball. I think he deserves credit. I think it's a really good pickup for the Angels, and he's going to come in as my second to last player on my list. So for our final player on this list, we're going to have another pitcher, and that is going to be Houston Astros starter Framber Valdez. I think Valdez showed how good he was in the postseason. He had a phenomenal postseason, was pretty much untouchable, pitched really well against the Rays, also pitched very well against the Oakland A's. I think Valdez is a really good pitcher, as much as I hate to say it, and, I feel like nobody really likes the Astros, including myself. Again, nobody really likes the Astros, but I think Framber Valdez is really underrated, because you look at the numbers the kid had in the postseason. He had a really good postseason. In the regular season, he was pretty solid as well. Had a 3.57 earned run average, a 5-3 win-loss record, had a 1.2 WAR in 11 games, in 70 innings pitched, had 76 strikeouts, and a 1.18 whip. So again, nothing crazy in the regular season, but you look at how he performed in the postseason. He stepped up big time for the Astros. I think Framber Valdez is really underrated. I expect him to have a breakout year for the Astros next year. He's really good. So that's going to do it for the most underrated players going into the 2021 season. I really hope you did enjoy the video. Make sure to drop a like on the video if you did enjoy, and also subscribe to the channel for more baseball content coming out through the channel. My predictions for the season is going to come out very soon. I have a lot of content, in mind that's going to come out on the channel very, very soon. So make sure to stay tuned. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, drop a like on this video if you want to see more like this. Maybe if you want to see the most overrated players going into 2021. I really want to know your thoughts on the video and your thoughts on what content I should make moving forward down in the comments below. I'd love to know your takes. And yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Who do you think is the most underrated player going into next year? Who do you think that player is? Down in the comments below. I'd love to know your thoughts. So that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll talk to you guys next time. And yeah, peace.